shaping and devising statistics that measured isolated individual performance. The predictable result was that James faced torrents of dismissive criticism from MLB and the sports media for decades. But James also recognized the work of fellow analytical investigators, which for the first time in the game's history morphed into a sustained and influential analytics community. What followed was an exponential expansion of knowledge and a tectonic reset of virtually every aspect of basic Major League Baseball. As of 2019, there are dozens of new research and experimental directions being explored. Progressive MLB teams like the Houston Astros, Los Angeles Dodgers, New York Yankees, Chicago Cubs, and Minnesota Twins are creating proprietary management models to expertly inform their amateur drafting, player development, and player psychological deconstruction. What will happen over the next 10 years should be breathtaking, but maybe the real difference maker today is that players have begun to stop relying on whichever MLB team they happen to belong to provide access to improve their athletic performance. Today's ball players are better informed and have begun to take control of their own individual development by partnering with cutting-edge private sector science, which means that the future of Major League Baseball union and contract issues and advances in player development are about to plunge headfirst into the next uncharted dimension, and it will be exciting to watch. The Detroit Tigers had the fifth overall pick in the 2019 MLB draft. With it, they selected Riley Green, a prep outfielder from Haggerty High School in Oviedo, Florida. He was widely regarded as the best prep bat in this year's draft. In his senior season at Haggerty High School, Green had himself an outstanding year. He batted .422 with 8 home runs. He also had an insane on-base percentage of .550. He is ranked as number 5 overall prospect by Baseball America and swings left-handed. He is listed at 6'2" and 190 pounds. According to Baseball America, Green is the best pure hitter in the prep class. By going with Green, the Tigers went the route that many expected them to. They went with offense in the first round of an offensive-loaded draft. This comes after drafting pitchers Matt Manning, 2016, Alex Faedo, 2017, and Casey Mize last year in the past 3 drafts. Green is Detroit's first position player drafted in the first round since Kristen Stewart at number 34 overall in 2015. He's also the first prep position player drafted by the Tigers since 2014 when they took Derek Hill with the 23rd overall selection. By drafting an 18-year-old, the Tigers assume some risk with the pick. He will face a tougher learning curve than collegiate players as he's entering the professional ranks fresh out of high school. But General Manager Al Avila believes Green will hit for average and power and has a high chance for a reward with this selection. The Tigers wasted no time in locking him up as he signed a contract yesterday for $6,180,700. He will rocket up Detroit's prospect list and will most likely be slot behind Double-A Erie third baseman Isaac Paredes as the best bat in the farm system. Information and stats courtesy of BaseballAmerica.com. It did not take long after the June deadline for Craig Kimbrel to find a home. After spending most of the 2019 season away from the game of baseball, Kimbrel has been signed by the Chicago Cubs. The Athletics' Ken Rosenthal was the first to report the news. The deal is reportedly worth about $45 million for 3 years. Since becoming a major leaguer in 2010, Kimbrel has 333 saves, the most in the MLB at that time. He also has a 1.91 career ERA. Kimbrel spent 3 seasons with the Red Sox, saving 108 games. He may have had a down year compared to most seasons, but he saved 42 games in 45 attempts with a 2.74 ERA, striking out 96. He helped the Red Sox win their 3rd World Series title in the 2000s. The 7-time All-Star was unsigned due to his extreme asking price. If a team signed him prior to June, they would have also needed to give up a draft pick. Now that the chains are off, Chicago struck at the right time. The Cubs may be taking a risk with Kimbrel, as they don't know what they will get with the 31-year-old. The team also will need to wait a few weeks until he is Major League ready. Even without a true closer, the Cubs pitching staff has a reliever rotation ERA of 4.026 in the league. Adding Kimbrel, however, legitimizes the team's chances of winning more games. Currently in first place in the NL Central, the Cubs got a boost. Currently sitting a half game back in the NL Central, the Cubs got a boost in adrenaline with Kimbrel. The name alone is value. It is up to said name to prove their skills still have value as well. The Kraken has been re-released, you guys. New York Yankees catcher Gary Sanchez has hit his 19th home run of the season in just his 42nd game played. This is significant for two reasons. First, he's now officially surpassed his 2018 Dinger total and about 200 fewer plate appearances. Second, he's made some Yankee history, knocking off a pretty well-known name in the process. That's good, right? After consecutive seasons of 20-plus homers, 3-plus F4, and at least a 129 WRC+, Sanchez dealt with major struggles in 2018. Through 374 plate appearances, the backstop slashed a woeful 186 average, 291 OBP, 406 slugging. The 18 homers he had salvaged some of his advanced stats, but not by much. He finished with an 89 WRC+. Things have been quite different in 2019, though. At the time of this show, L. Gary had accumulated 175 total plate appearances this season. He's not only hitting homers with 19 and driving in runs with 37, but he's also been productive in all aspects. While Sanchez's current 26.9% strikeout rate is on track to increase for the second straight season, the Yankees will deal with that if it's paired with his current 274 average, 349 OBP, and 669 slugging. So what's been the driving force behind this offensive resurgence? His 56.1% swing rate on strikes shows he's being more selective on pitches he can potentially do more damage with, 62.4% in 18. And the proof is in the pudding. Both the increase in hard contact and fly balls, while sacrificing ground balls, really stands out. It's implied with the rise in hard hit rate, but what's key about Sanchez's increased fly ball rate isn't, his infield fly rate. The number went from 10.8% in 2017 all the way up to 19.2% in 2018. So far this year, though, his infield fly rate is down at 11.9%. He's clearly making the most of all those fly balls, which can easily be seen when drilling down to that specific batted ball event. After posting a 206 WRC plus with a 26.3% soft hit rate and a 38.4% hard hit rate on fly balls last season, those numbers have improved to 283, 15.3%, and 49.2% respectively this season. Of course, Sanchez is just one piece to the puzzle for a first-place Yankees team that's dealt with plenty of challenges over the last couple months. Despite having a countless number of players hit the injury list, including important offensive cogs like Giancarlo Stanton and Aaron Judge, they've managed to rise above all other American League East teams at the moment. It'll be interesting to see when they get fully healthy or close to it later this year. One thing the Yankees can be satisfied with, though, is their return to form for their 26-year-old catcher. Gary Kraken has been re-released, and it's time for the league to officially be put on notice. DJ LeMahieu has been the Yankees' best player so far in 2019, but Gary Sanchez is not far behind. And really, Gary Sanchez should be noted as the face of this team, because at this point, with the injuries that the Yankees are dealing with, he is. And they're in battle with the Rays for that first place spot in the American League East, sitting at 40-24, tied with the Rays, also sitting at 40-24. So it's just a question of what's going to happen with the Yankees when they get healthy or close to it at some point in the season, because they are going to get healthy at some point. They're not going to not have Stanton and Judge for the whole season. They will get them back, and it's a question of where they're standing in the standings at that point, and if they are still have that first place spot, or if they have enough wiggle room to catch the Rays, because that American League East is going to be a two-horse battle between the Yankees and the Rays. And I was doing some thinking, and if I can pull up my numbers here, what would happen, let's say, because I have the Yankees winning that AL East tiebreaker game if the season were to end today. Sorry, just pulling out these papers here. What would happen if it was Rangers versus Yankees in that wild card game and not Rangers versus Rays? What you would see in that game would be Mike Minor going up against James Paxton. And as I said, I'd have Mike Minor beating James Paxton. Paxton doesn't have postseason experience. Minor does. Minor's been better, right? So the Yankees could be eliminated right away. And the thing for me, unless a team gets, which isn't going to happen, that first wild card spot, or a wild card spot to challenge the Rangers, and Mike Minor has to face somebody else, I'm going to have the Rangers winning that wild card game. And if it holds up with the Rangers playing the Astros right now, then they could very well play the Twins. And the question becomes, okay, what happens if the Rangers play the Twins? Well, you would see in that series, Ariel Jurado going up against Jose Barrios. Now, it's interesting to me, but I'd have Barrios and the Twins taking game one there. Then you get Mike Minor, Michael Pineda. I'd have 1-1 in that situation. And you get Kyle Gibson, Lance Lynn. I'd go Lynn, Rangers up 2-1. And then you would see Adrian Sampson going up against probably Martin Perez for the Twins. And I'd feel confident with Sampson. So either way, the Rangers just stack up nicely in the playoffs. They just have to get in. And that's what's going to have to happen for the Rangers to potentially win a World Series this year. Because I think they can do it. They have the team built to do it. It's just a matter of competing in a tough American League, holding off those wild card teams, because it's not going to be an easy task, right? They have to hold off the Red Sox, the Indians, the Athletics, the White Sox, and the Angels. It's a question of whether they can do that or not. Now, another hypothetical situation is that, let's say, the Cubs win the division and the Brewers have to take on the Braves in that wild card game. You'd be having Woodruff go up against Soroka. Woodruff does have elite postseason experience. Soroka doesn't have it, but you never know. If Soroka wins that game for the Braves, then you got a NLDS of Braves Dodgers, and it's a completely different scenario with Cubs Phillies, and the Brewers never get to the World Series, and the Rangers could potentially win it if they get in. And it's a beauty of baseball, talking about these hypothetical situations, right? And having a dark horse team like the Rangers is nice. And mark my words, if the Rangers get in, they're getting into the World Series. They are. If you want to put a bet in right now, the odds are definitely not in their favor. But if you want to do it, the Texas Rangers are 100% my dark horse. Get that bet in now. Alright, that's going to do it for our show today. Thank you all for tuning in. My name is Benson Spector. This has been BPN Weekly, the Baseball Podcast Network's weekly national podcast. We'll see you next week on BPN Weekly.